All right, everyone. Thanks again for joining us in our last episode of the Exit Your Way Roundtable live for 2020. I can't believe it. Today with me, I've got AJ Wilcox. Welcome, AJ.
Damon, excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Hey, man, I'm just feel lucky to have you here because we are gonna have some fun today. We're gonna talk a lot about uh, LinkedIn advertising.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
one
so
subject I'm authoritative on in my
yeah.
entire world. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll go through that. We'll go through your history. I mean, because man, I was looking through it, and we've talked before, and you got a hell of a background here, and it's good stuff. Oh, we got Robert Murray showing up from Alaska. Now,
Woo.
Robert is like, if you get on his profile and look, he put up a video of him going out to cut wood. Now, this is serious, like four-wheeling to go back into the forest to find the wood and cut it up and bring it back. He's awesome stuff. But anyway, I digress.
Sweet.
Then we got Nick Dorsey showing up. Oh no, yep, Nick Dorsey showing up out of
What's up,
Arizona.
Nick?
We're outside in Scottsdale. He's just starting to do some. Well, he was down there with one company, and now he's with others in facilities. So it's awesome to see you, Nick. So good. Well, AJ, tell me a little bit about your background, because man, you got a really a pedigree of marketing, and then where you ended up today. But let's start kind of back in the beginning and talk about, what you went to BYU for marketing. Well, I mean, because that kind of starts from there. But what really caught your eye with marketing, and why did you take the path?
Well, it's funny. In high school, I took a psychology class. It was like an AP psychology. And I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. Like, I love psychology. I want to be a counselor or a therapist. And then by the time I got to BYU, I had kind of decided, that one, I don't think I like psychology anymore. I know I want to do something with business. So I went and looked at the business school at BYU, and there were a whole bunch of different emphases you could choose. And I didn't know which
Yeah,
one to go with. But I saw marketing and went, oh, I don't quite know what marketing is, but I remember when I was young, I would watch Star Trek episodes with my dad.
yeah,
And when it got to the commercials, because he's a big Trekkie, when it got to the commercials, he would ask me questions like, hey, who do you think that commercial's for? And why do you think they chose that kind of message? And he's a banker. He's worked in
yeah,
banking his whole life, like no
yeah,
marketing in there at all. But I remember that just being really fun to think about. So when I
yeah,
saw marketing, I went, okay, I can always change my major later. Like, I'll declare marketing. And sure enough, the very first marketing class I took, I was hooked because I love cars. I love exotic cars. And the professor who was teaching like the marketing 101, he worked all of his career in automotive and was using examples of Audi and BMW. And
yeah,
it hit me. I absolutely just decided right then I was going to be a marketer.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's a lot of people look at it and they go glamorous. They've watched what was that one? There used to be a show, I can't even remember what it was, but the
Oh,
guy
Mad Men.
Mad Men. Oh yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. I mean, that was quite a series, but people think it's a lot of glamour, but in the end, it's a lot of hard work.
It is. If I could go back and do it again, I would have studied something like information systems because, I mean, it's really hard to learn the tech stuff like on your own. So much easier when you have a professor helping you out. But marketing is free to learn. I mean, there's a ton to learn and understand, but boy, all the information's out there free. It's really easy to learn. So I wish I would have like learned marketing on my own, but I am glad I got my degree in it.
That's cool. That's cool. And you're right. I mean, because anymore, marketing is as much about you got to know who you're marketing to and all that. That was the same. I mean, I think that's stayed relatively similar, other than the way that people want to be sold to now. But the systems and the technology behind it are so complex when you talk about these things that people are using with multiple stages of messaging that's going out, and just down to the analytics of this whole thing. It's pretty crazy.
Oh yeah. The data that comes from marketing is way more valuable than like I mean the marketing itself.
Yes.
It's a clear path to I'll say like slaying it as a company. If you
Yeah.
understand who your audience is and better how to reach them, that's what the data tells you. And you just can't go wrong if you know the data.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. And I think that's where a lot of old school people like myself, when we, shit, let's just be honest, 20 years ago when we were selling, it was a different game. It was talking about getting in front of people. You had to actually dial the phone, go meet with them and do what they're doing now. It's flipped 180 degrees before 2020, and then COVID hit, and then it just launched us ahead another 10 years in 10 months, 12 months, whatever the heck you want to call it. And now we're light years ahead where we were 12 months ago.
Yeah, it's nuts. The tactics, the systems, the platforms, they are changing at a lightning pace. So if you call yourself a marketer, you got to be caught up. But
yeah,
it's interesting. The principles of marketing have not changed in thousands of years.
No.
And like you learn those and you're good. You can figure out a system.
Yeah, that's for sure. So let's take us back through your history a little bit. You worked for some pretty well-known companies throughout your career there in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, my beginning was I've always been a really technical person. I've loved computers, and so in college I had a job as like second level networking and server support. And
yeah.
So I was essentially like a tech support guy, but I loved it, and I was making more money than anyone else on campus. It was great. And I knew I was studying marketing. I was going to graduate in 2 years, and I had to go find a job in marketing. But me with my limited understanding of the world, I said, who in the world is going to hire me for a marketing job if the only thing I've ever done is tech?
Yeah.
And it seems funny now, but back then, like I was really worried. And in one of my marketing classes, we had a guest lecturer come in who came in and talked about search engine optimization. And as he was talking, I went, oh, this is what I want to do. This is marketing plus technology. So I went up after class and I begged this poor man for an internship. He ended up bringing me on, and that was where I got the start. It was a company called SIBO Marketing, and
Really?
I learned search engine optimization, building websites, and Google Ads. They called it Google AdWords back then, and that was really my start. It was like that agency atmosphere.
Awesome. So and then you moved into some other companies, because I mean, is the thing that I've learned over the past year is that Salt Lake City has a long history of digital marketing companies and software companies, which you wouldn't think of unless you were around there.
Yeah. And it was so interesting. The next company I went to was called orangesoda.com.
Yeah.
And you ask anyone in digital marketing, orangesoda.com and SEO.com, both of those were here local to us. And they really, they really kicked off a big digital marketing boom. And you can see this banner behind me on the camera. This is for the Utah Digital Marketing Collective. I'm on the board of it. It's a nonprofit that we get together and we bring in a speaker to come and teach us about some element of digital marketing. There's a whole bunch of these kinds of organizations across the country, little digital marketing professional orgs. But it's so funny. The one here in Salt Lake is the largest and most active of all of them. And
wow.
I mean, it started with Orange Soda and SEO.com, and I had an offer from SEO.com, ended up working for Orange Soda, and got to see at least a lot of it from the ground up.
Yeah, and that's something, because looking at things today and this year, I'm not familiar with LinkedIn, and I'm looking forward to talking that, but I know on the Google side, the paid AdWords space in Google changed so much from February to June or so, and then through the rest of the year, that it's a different world.
Yeah.
It's a different world, because everybody decided all of a sudden that they didn't want to buy any AdWords in March, and then everybody said, I have to buy double the AdWords in June. and the price went to dirt cheap to 400% of what it was before. And all these people that have been counting on pay-per-click on Google, because let's be honest, that's what a lot of people didn't invest in, the SEO and content development on the backside, and wanted to do pay-per-click and thought that was the panacea, what they were I'm going to keep them forever. Like it, before Google added all the other ad spaces on their page and stuff, like some of those people got caught in that years ago.
Yeah.
This just put them out of being competitive with what they're selling and their advertising dollars. So the thing that I think is people have to realize is that these are fluid, and they're never, it's interesting how that works. But let's talk a little bit about LinkedIn, because I know that LinkedIn has pay-per-click advertising. I don't know how it works that well, but I'm familiar with Facebook a little bit, Google a fair amount. But so what drew you into LinkedIn rather than Google or Facebook or Amazon or something like that?
Well, it's funny. I started out, in really heavy Google, and I went to work at my most recent company. So I went to a company called Domo.com, and they're a business to business. They're now public, but they weren't back when I was working for them. And I got brought in to run all of their digital marketing. And on my very first day, I'm talking to my new boss, the CMO, and I laid out all of the different marketing channels and the strategies I wanted to pursue. And I remember her saying, "Oh, yeah, great. Go ahead and execute. But just so you know, we started a pilot 2 weeks ago with LinkedIn ads. So see what you can do with that." And I saluted and said, "Yes, ma'am, absolutely." And walked out of her office going, "I've never heard of LinkedIn ads. Like, what's this going to be like?" I didn't want to look stupid to my new boss. So I jumped in, started playing with the platform. And within a couple weeks, I had a sales rep who came up to me and said, "AJ, we don't know what you're doing, but we're fighting over your leads here. Keep it up." And I didn't know what he was talking about. So I went and looked at the leads, and every single one that he was mentioning was coming from LinkedIn. And that was not the only ad channel I was running. So
wow.
Long story short, ended up just continuing to grow and grow and grow and invest in the platform, learning more about it and learning all the tricks and everything, until I took it to become LinkedIn's largest spending ads account at the time.
Yeah.
After about 2.5 years of running that, I went, okay, this is cool. No one else is talking about this platform, but it's amazing.
Yeah. That's a great story, dude. That's awesome, because it was like literally when they started LinkedIn ads, they had Domo had started working with them a little bit. And then you took it from that to the biggest LinkedIn ad account.
Yeah, it was cool. And I still use a lot of the same strategies and techniques that I used back then. They've been refined quite a bit, but it was great.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a heck of a learning experience. And to be able to start at that point and understand and be able to then grow with it and understand the transitions. Because the one thing that we've seen in clients when we're helping e-commerce clients is that, Google ads are at, $1,000 or $10,000 a month is much different than $100,000 a month. And when you go through those transition spots, just like growing a business, you get to a certain pay, you got to redo it and change what you're doing. Yes. I'm assuming that LinkedIn did that. Your management of LinkedIn had to evolve as the spend got bigger, the campaigns got more, the targeting got more focused, and those kind of things.
Yeah, back when I first started, there was only one kind of ad format you could use, and it was this. It's called text ads. We still use quite a few of them, but they now have 3 others, and have probably 10 more ways to target people. So it just gets more and more detailed. And I am glad I have the historical context, so I can know where the new stuff fits in.
What's that?
And then I can at least know where all the new stuff fits in.
I've
seen the historical.
Exactly. Well, it's cool as heck. It's because, I don't see, the other thing had to be kind of, quite honestly, is it's kind of a unique space.
Yeah. What I'll tell you is so cool about it is, I come from that Google world, the world that you understand, obviously a lot of, done a lot of Facebook. And what I found is all those other platforms, they really ignore and kind of turn their back on the business to business marketers. And business to business, we can hack Facebook to make it work at really small scale. Google, you just kind of go after keywords and hope they don't get too expensive. But LinkedIn, it's the only platform that really caters to this really minute targeting ability. but it was never widely adopted because, Facebook started out at, they were charging less than a cent per click starting out. Google, from the very beginning, had a 5-cent floor. So as long as you were willing to bid 5 cents, you could get traffic. LinkedIn, when they started, had a floor of $2. So they've always been expensive. And, now they're several times more expensive than Facebook.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's why I'm just writing some notes here, but that's pretty cool though, because, they have an audience like no other for the B2B market though.
Oh yeah. Especially for those, like the higher deal size types of deals. If you advertise on Google, you can't pick and choose from all the people typing keywords, like who represents a large enough company or who has the authority. You just kind of get whatever traffic comes. But on LinkedIn, you can say, hey, I only want to target this title, and they've got to be, manager and above or director and above at a company with more than 500 people. So it's great for especially those higher tickets where you just couldn't reach them effectively anywhere else.
Yeah. So if you're selling an ERP system into, $100 million plus manufacturing companies or whatever distribution companies, you can target the whatever the CTO at those companies or something like that. And you're not wasting clicks on me down the street that has a little warehouse with, 10,000 square feet.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and that's really something, because do you see, what kind of conversion rates do you see on a good campaign in LinkedIn advertising?
Yeah, it depends on the approach. If your approach is, and I think everyone tries this at least once, pushing someone right to hey, here's what we do. Click here to talk to a sales rep or get a demo. It's a little bit too much too soon for most. And if you do that, you'll end up with like a 1.5 to 4% conversion rate. Yeah. But if you lead with value first, like here's come join this webinar or download this ebook or free checklist or cheat sheet. If it's a really good offer, then it's going to convert at over 15%. So you'll end up usually between about $40 to $80 per opt-in. And for access to this high quality, super, VIP kind of audience, then, most can make this work. For the smaller companies or smaller deal sizes, like LinkedIn ads might be too expensive, but
yeah. But if you're selling a high ticket item though, 40 or 80 bucks to get somebody into $75 to get somebody to set in your webinar that you think you've developed a really nice webinar that's going to give them good value and show them why you're the one that can get them from point A to point B. That's a hell of a thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why when advertisers go, ooh, LinkedIn ads are too expensive. It's like, well, yeah, if your deal size is too low or your funnels aren't very efficient, LinkedIn ads are going to be really expensive.
Yeah.
But if you're really buttoned up, then this will be the best traffic you'll get, and you'll see a much higher return on investment there than you could with all the lower quality leads that you'd get from Facebook or Google.
Yeah. So that's really cool. So when you see people, so you're going to create this LinkedIn campaign, pay-per-click campaign on LinkedIn. You're going to get these people there. What do you see the biggest problem that people have once they've got them?
Do you mean once they've gotten the user to click, or
once
they've
got the user to click, and then it just doesn't go anywhere? Do you see that's people go, oh, if I just get them to click that, and they really haven't thought about it after that? That's what I'm kind of asking. And
we find that the role that sales plays is just as important as good campaign management, because we've had clients where we just absolutely slay for them. Like we're getting them the lowest cost per lead out there and the highest quality leads. But if their sales team isn't buttoned up and like they drop everything or refuse to call or like follow up on the leads, then it makes all of our efforts look bad. And we have some who have a really good sales process, and even if their content isn't very good, for instance, they're still way in the green. So sales follow-up, super important.
Yeah. So don't try it without having a good sales process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Know your metrics, like be able to track them. That's, really where, if you compare LinkedIn's cost per lead with Google or Facebook, it's usually going to look significantly higher.
Yeah.
But because the quality of the lead is so much better, if you track down to like a sales qualified lead or a cost per proposal, that's when LinkedIn all of a sudden really starts to shine. So make sure you have a CRM in place and a sales team that's, pushing people towards those later stages.
Yeah.
That way you'll be able to tell it's working.
Yeah. Yeah. We got Nick. Nick was commenting on, there's several people here that are commenting back and forth. Nick and Robert and Ira were talking about, building the platform on LinkedIn. We've got, these guys are pretty well established on some of the platforms, and it's amazing what you can do on LinkedIn, even from the free side, if you do that right. And then I'd imagine too that you run into clients. Let's back up a step. Does it help when you're going to do a LinkedIn paid ad campaign if someone is already somewhat active on LinkedIn? So say I'm the company, I'm going to do it. My company's going to do it. And if they can come and see that our company is posting relevant content, or we have, videos like this that's relevant to our audience, does that really seem to help the process, or do you think it really doesn't matter much?
It can. So the big dichotomy here is you have what's done on the company's page and then what you do on your personal profile.
Yeah.
Both can post, both can interact. And so all of your ads are going to come from the company profile. So, someone who you're advertising to, they're not going to know, they won't be able to link to or see your personal profile unless you call their attention towards it.
Yeah.
So what you're doing personally, although LinkedIn organically from personal profiles is like, it's amazing right now. It's the easiest network in the world to go viral on. But it won't help your ad efforts unless you're also working with the company page and getting followers up and posting good content there.
Yeah. Yeah. So you got to be posting good content on your company page and getting the follower count up to be able to really maximize the pay-per-click campaigns if you want to.
Yeah. Okay. It's like on the personal side, when you get your number of connections over 500, it just says, 500 plus. It's kind of an implicit endorsement that you're well connected, that you're active. Same thing with a company page. If you see a company page with like, I don't know, less than, let's say 300 followers or something, you're like, oh, they're probably not taking this all too seriously. So if you can get those follower counts up, so it's more social proof.
Yeah. So what do you think if someone, this is a good question because we see this a lot. I mean, I go to some big companies and they got 100 followers, 150 followers. And then, we got some small companies got 10,000. So what is a reasonable number that you think if you're in business that you should have?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it does depend on your company size.
Oh yeah.
If you are a big company, like I expect you to have a lot of followers to show that I'm on the right page and that you're legit. This isn't, being hijacked somewhere along the way.
Yeah. Well, give me a name of a company. I'll look it up. We'll see. Cause it's surprising.
Yeah.
I'm always surprised by this.
Try something like IBM, because I know IBM probably has a whole bunch of pages.
Yeah, IBM. I'm sure they've got a huge one, but yeah, IBM, big. Yeah, there we go.
I'm sure they've got millions.
Yeah, 9.7 million.
Yeah, there we go.
yeah, that's pretty crazy. But then I can't remember. I should have wrote it down. But I looked at one the other day, and it was like it was a $1 billion like company, and it had like 1,000. And I was like, what are they doing? So they're just not doing anything, I guess, on here.
Yeah. So, one of the best things that you can do for your company page is every admin of your company page can invite up to 100 people to follow the company page. And it comes across like a connection request. It says, AJ Wilcox wants you to follow B2 linked. And all you have to do is just click the button and do it. So if you have a lot of employees.
Every admin gets 100?
Yeah. And it might even be more than that. You might not even need to be full admin to get it. It might just be any employee. But everyone who has employees. But
I didn't realize it was for every admin because, man, I'd be adding like 3 or 4 more admins than everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way to do it. That's a
great point because if people aren't using the the right techniques, I mean, it's hard to grow your company following.
Oh, it is. Yeah, especially because when you post something from a personal profile, it gets 10 times the engagement as if you post something from the company. So, of course, and I'm guilty of this as well. Like, well, why would I post something to my company page if it's going to get 10 times the eyes personally? But it is valuable to milk both of them.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. So what do you think the biggest thing you've learned in 2020 about, paid advertising in general and the LinkedIn game?
Ooh, we did this study right, I think it was in July or August, where we looked back through all of our data and found what happened to prices every day up until then. And like you mentioned before with Google, we saw something very similar where, March budgets were okay, and then they just tanked in April. And as they did, the costs went way down too, because it's all competition based.
Yeah.
And, if we would have known, wow, it costs, 40% less right now to buy a LinkedIn ad. This is great. Like, we could have had people go all in. But by the time I did the research in August, we had come back up, and only one of the 4 ad formats was still cheaper. The others were more expensive. So it was like, if you're looking for a discount, it's now gone. Since so many people said, well, we still need leads as a company. Life hasn't gone back to normal, but we got to go back to advertising.
Yeah. That's cool to understand that. And I forgot to say, your company is B2 linked, right?
Yeah.
You've been in it a while. It's 6 years. I mean, there are a lot of people that you'll see there. I'm sorry, but I pick on coaches, and I don't want to, because I do a fair amount of business coaching myself to some of our clients. But man, you see a coach that's been in it for 10 months. It's like, okay, come on, really, you just made a career change, whether it was planned or not. And
exactly.
But you've been in it 6 years, so you've been in this game a while. And when you consider Domo ahead of that, you've been doing LinkedIn ads for a while.
Yeah, and it's funny because I have ADHD. Like, I've never been able to buckle down to anything. The longest I ever stayed at a job was like 2.5 years at Domo. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to start this company, but how long until I get bored? Well, we're 6 years in. I'm still not bored. I'm still excited every day to come into work. So I'm at least in for the foreseeable future.
That's awesome. So I see they got some guitars hanging in the back there. So are you a guitar player?
Really badly, I am. Yeah. I just intensely love music. I grew up playing piano. I play drums, guitar, bass, anything I can get my hands on. I play really terribly. Yeah. And so my goal is, when I eventually retire, or at least can like step away part-time, the first thing I'm going to do is just take a bunch of music lessons. Cause that stuff just fuels my brain. But, as for right now, I'm taking guitar lessons and, learning to play some pop punk songs that I loved from high school.
There you go. That's kind of sounds. My son does it too. He's taught himself how to play over the last few years, and he's actually getting pretty good. And
cool.
He's in college yet, so he still has the time to do it. Not like you, where you actually got to work, make money, and do that kind of stuff too. But yeah, well, that's cool, because it is. I tell you, the thing that I've really found, and especially over the past 10 years or so, is that the amount of extracurricular activities and the intensity at which you do them allows you to do better at work. And I say that and I've always kind of done this, like you're saying, guitars. I mean, I amateur, but I was an amateur wakeboarder in competitions until I was damn near 40, until I wrecked my back. And then before that, I played 2-man sand volleyball for 15 years and those kind of things, because it's just that kind of fun and camaraderie and stuff, I think, allows you to really blow that steam off that you build in business, and then come back with the intensity that you need to really to drive the success. Because I got to imagine your business, didn't start with a bunch of clients, and you had to build from zero. And that's a challenge in the beginning.
Absolutely. You know,
Yeah.
when we hire, I figure I can teach anyone in the world. I can teach a monkey how to run LinkedIn ads. That's not the challenge. But what I need is someone who's driven and motivated and excited. And the only analogy I can find for when I'm asking questions in hiring, I ask them, well, what do you do on the side? What are your pet projects you're working on? And I find that when someone has a pet project, one of our employees, he's writing a graphic novel on the side, and another loves like programming in Excel to make his family budget better. Like all of these, it doesn't matter if it's related to advertising or not. It shows that like you have passion and follow through, and you're probably going to learn extra quick. And you're who I want on the team.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And I think you're right. And it shows that people, because if they have passion about something, that's the start. Because you got to see, because there's some people that just don't naturally have that, and people that do, it's really fun to see them, because that diversity in those businesses is really what makes it successful. Like you said, just think of the diversity in the minds between someone that's doing a graphical novel and someone that's doing the Excel programming, like you said, and how that when they come together, they make the solutions become much better.
Yeah, and they both are so much able to solve different problems and teach each other. Like, that was a good example, because these two work really well together.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And you talked a little bit about exotic cars.
Yeah.
So this is a question. I mean, I'm an old car guy, but you're an exotic car guy. So what is your favorite exotic car? If you could just pick one and go, oh, this is the one I want.
All
okay,
right, so
let's just take for daily driver first. We'll start daily driver first.
Okay, I like this line of questioning. It's not new anymore, so I'd have to buy it pre-owned. But the Aston Martin DB9 is by far my favorite car ever, and the DB11 they replaced it with, I don't think is quite as pretty. So I'll go with that one.
That's the Aston Martin. They're nice. That's a good choice. That's a good choice. Okay, so now you're going to go into you're not going to go into the Bugatti. They're not going to go there. Yeah. But you're kind of into the affordable above the Aston Martin kind of car. What are you going to go to there? A fast car?
Ooh, it's actually around the same price. But it's the Acura NSX, the new one.
Yeah.
I love the old one too, but same price pretty much as an Aston Martin, but it's much more track focused, much less comfy for daily driver, but I love it.
Yeah. That's cool.
Same questions for you. Like even in classics, I want to hear what your tastes it.
Oh, I want a 68 Chevy Impala. And just because that was I had my first car was a 68 Pontiac Catalina, and you really can't find two-door. Convertible is what I want, but I don't have it yet, but just because that's what it was. I would like that. It comes with a 400 small block, and you can fix them up really nice. And I would have to have the air ride and think I would have a lot of fun with it. There's some people in your area that would fix it really nicely too. Yeah. And then I would probably want a tricked out International Scout.
Oh, that would be cool.
That would be my other car. I think
a real off-roader. Yeah.
Just something that, doesn't go over about 45 miles an hour. It doesn't have to be a rock crawler. I just want it to be able to, those are two I'd probably like.
Yes.
And, and then in the drivers, I'm simple for the drivers. I like big vehicles. I'd get an Escalade. That's just they're smooth. I grew up. I'm a Midwest guy. That's what 4-wheel drive. Give me something that drives smooth, and I'm good. So.
It's not going to shake you around every time you drive.
No. But I tell you, I can still remember the first day that I ever saw an F40, a Ferrari F40, in person in Italy in the showroom. And then I was 25, and I was walking. I was actually there hitchhiking, kind of across Europe with some people, and I said, here I am from the Dakotas. And I said, this is a damn Ferrari dealership. I've never seen one. So I walk in, and I'm just like, wow, now it's hanging open. I saw them in posters before. And I can still remember the salesperson. I asked him, can I take a picture? And my Italian was horrible. He was like, yeah, kid, get it done and get the hell out of here.
We got real customers to serve.
Yeah, real customers. So it's not going to drool on the car. But yeah, it's the exotic cars. They're really something. And when you look at some of these other ones that, Bugatti is just crazy. That one's off the, but just some of the technology in them now is insane.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Good. I'm glad you got to see the F40. That's one of the most rare cars. I've seen one in person and it was a near religious experience.
Exactly. I mean, you know cars and you see that when you go, oh my God.
Yeah.
I may never see that again in my life.
Yep.
And when people like, I don't know that Jay Leno has one probably. I don't think
he doesn't.
Because I mean they are super rare, and just to see one and then new in the showroom like that was years ago, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's good stuff. So, so what do you think in the LinkedIn market that if people are considering this, what are some of the better things? So I'm in this company and I might want to consider it. What do you think are some of the better companies that are the better industries and things like that really work well with LinkedIn marketing?
Well, yeah, the way I break it down is it doesn't matter whether you're a product or a service, whether you're doing lead gen. E-commerce doesn't work very well, but pretty much everything else, like if you have a high lifetime value and a specific kind of person that you need to get in front of, then LinkedIn's going to work. I tell people if your lifetime value is over like 10 or 15K, then it's a total no-brainer. Like you got to be doing LinkedIn.
Really?
And yeah. And like we talked about earlier, if your approach is, I want to push you right to a demo or to talk to sales, chances are like 95% of the time you're going to fail. But if you can approach with something really valuable that you're bringing your audience that they really care about, then you'll be successful. Even if you have a misspelling in your ads and, if you do all kinds of stuff wrong, but a good offer will cover a multitude of sins.
All right. That's cool to know. Because I think that, well, obviously there's a lot of companies that are trying to find their way. They're trying to find their way because they've gone for how many months now where they can't freely roam and meet people, move across the United States and those kind of things. And they're struggling to find different ways to do this. And I think one of the interesting things that I think, and you brought this up, is really how a medium like LinkedIn pay-per-click advertising could feed into a traditional sales force that maybe no longer is going out and meeting with quite as many people, but they find interested people that have found them through the pay-per-click.
Yeah.
And the role changes a little bit. I was actually thinking about this the other day and thinking about how this the hybrid of video, the hybrid of digital inbound marketing or pay-per-click, how that would change if you could really get your leads coming to you. Because again, like people want to be sold to, they don't want to be sold to. They want to buy from the people that they've figured out, basically, that are the ones they want to buy from. And how does that really make your sales force change? And can you come up with an effective one like that? I don't know, this is a long-winded story, but I was just thinking about that because I really, as I was thinking about us talking and things, and then the way LinkedIn works, that I'm really wondering if we're going to find a hybrid of the traditional sales force that's integrated digitally now, that they're going to get a certain portion of their leads anyway that comes from digital inbound of whatever method, and their role is going to change a little bit.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many companies came to us, in just the last few months saying, we used to spend 100% of our marketing budget going to trade shows and having a booth and traveling our whole sales staff. And now because getting together in person isn't a thing anymore, I guess we have to go digital. And it's like, yeah, you just learned what all of us have been, learning this last, 10, 15 years, is that digital is not going away. And find the opportunities now because your competitor will find them tomorrow. So get in before they do.
That's as wise as I got to write that down.
Yeah.
that because it's right. It's right. Cause really you're going to, what can happen in this? And I think anyway, is you can have a company that's half your size. and we're talking $100 million company and a $50 million or $20 million company. And that $20 million company figures this out. And the next day, but a year later, that $100 million company, which they were sitting back fat and happy. We got our big clients that are still buying from us. And what happens is that $20 million company figured out this digital method. They're figuring out, they're refining, they're getting better. They're doing the pay-per-click. And pretty soon they're $70 million. And that $100 million company is still a $100 million company, and they don't know how to get to 150. And the other one goes, we know, and we're going.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to switch places here pretty quick.
We're going to flip flop, and that's, that's the thing. And I think is happening. And like you said, these companies coming to you, at least they're coming to you and identifying it, because it really, I think there's a fundamental shift that's been made this year that's not going to change. Especially when you consider a company gets to a certain size and the geography that a salesperson is covering and the effectiveness they can have using more digital methods.
Oh yeah. The one to many is so much more efficient. What I like, I'm just like the story you told earlier about Google ads. All of a sudden prices shoot way up. And if that's your only ad channel, you're bankrupt. Like it's a bad situation. But when you're diversified across a whole bunch, when Google's prices shoot up, yeah, it sucks. Like you just took a hit, but you can continue investing in your Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and whatever. And you're not bankrupt. Yeah,
that's for sure. That's for sure. This is interesting stuff, AJ. Because I really believe I LinkedIn and a platform, I think, is just first of all, if you're doing business to business, it's like you said, Facebook, you can kind of piece it together at low scale, but LinkedIn is the place where you can do volume and with the right people. And that's pretty cool. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the integration of in these larger companies with the traditional sales and the digital methods.
Yeah, we're all going to be forced to catch up real quick if we haven't already. So
might
as well give in.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you're seeing companies come to you that are going with the trade shows. I know we do a fair amount of virtual events. I know some other people that actually turn us on to the platform that we use, and they are doing virtual trade shows too, which even takes us to a different level in that part of the trade show world. But there's no doubt that 2020 has kind of forced us to leapfrog a few years in this stuff.
Oh yeah. And I hope this doesn't happen again, but it's totally possible that this is not the last pandemic that we'll see in our lifetimes. So I'm grateful to be alive right now, because if you would have told me 20 years later, like, hey, there was this time when the whole world shut down for a year and a half, I wouldn't have believed you. So this is fun to experience.
Yeah.
But also, like, I don't want to belittle anyone who's gotten really sick or died or lost anyone. But I think of this as a warning shot. If something like COVID that was not ultra devastating gets us in the right mindset to engineer and run our companies the right way, because we've lived through this. We know how to diversify. I think it puts us in a really good spot in case future something else happens again.
Well, you're right. I mean, it goes back to as simple as this: if it doesn't kill you, it's going to make you stronger.
Exactly.
And that's as simple as that, because you are right. These changes, this digital change, and I've been harping on this for years with people. This digital change was happening 10 years ago to a certain extent. 5 years ago, it was picking up steam. Last year, it was even more steam, and it would have continued on. But it takes an event like this year to force people to see it, because the traditional methods are no longer. I think, and it just showed that there are some other ways to do it, and it's an unfortunate incident, but man, I tell you what, I can point to a lot of people that have had really bad situations with it, and a lot of people that have really good situations. And the thing that's encouraging now, I think, is to see talk to people like you that there's good things happening, and then you see some of the new entrepreneurial things that are springing up that people are doing they're really interesting. I mean, even in the restaurant industry now, you see in these restaurants that are no longer the come in and dine kind of restaurants, but they're specifically set up for takeout. They're a wonderful takeout restaurant. And just all these kind of things that are happening that were forced by it. It's yes, there's a ton of bad, but it's not all bad.
Yeah. Damon, I'm glad you have the show because you said it way more eloquently than I did.
Well, it's fun and I love talking with people like yourself. You got such great energy, AJ, and man, it's just I feed off it, dude, and it's so good. But I'm so grateful. I mean, in the last show of 2020, getting someone on like you that, on LinkedIn, which is LinkedIn's my favorite platform, man. I just got to say it. And because that's where my tribe lives. That's what I do. It's a lot of fun and getting to learn from you on this is awesome. So I appreciate you stopping by today and dropping a little bit of knowledge on us. I look forward to seeing you in 2021 and talking more about this and maybe giving us an update sometime about what you see and just what's working and what's not.
Awesome, Damon. It's been so much fun jamming with you, and absolutely have me back for a round 2 any day.
You bet. Well, everyone out there, we're going to be just signing off here. I said LinkedIn, Nick says he's got to go and we got to go as well. So from the Exuary Live with AJ Wilcox at B2 Linked, check him out on where do they get a hold of you? Where's the best place to get a hold of you?
If you fill out the form on any page of b2linked.com, you'll get to me, or on LinkedIn. Just make sure you customize the message and say, I heard John Damon's show. Then I'll know to make sure I accept it.
All right. Thanks a lot, AJ. Thanks everyone else. We're out from Exit Your Way Live, the final show of 2020, but we're back in 2021. We're already booked through, I think, February. We got lots of fun planned. See you later.
Happy holidays.